1.5 billion is about to hit the market today. We'll break it down for you and what that means to some of the biggest movers out there. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into the show. Let's get into it today. I do want to thank our sponsor, and of course, that is iTrust Capital. This is a place where you guys can go out there and get a ton of exposure in a crypto IRA. And the cool thing about doing something with iTrust Capital is you've got an opportunity to get into pretty much everything, whether it's gold, silver, all of the crypto assets out there, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. Check them out. Make sure and use our link to get a $100 funding reward to get started. Guys, let's get into it today because there's a lot happening around the markets. Obviously, some of the biggest keys that I want to get into are what's going on in the S&P. One of the things that is these all-time highs that continue to explode. And I think this is something that is starting to show up in a lot bigger ways than people realize. Now, the real question is how much impact is this going to have on crypto? Remember that a lot of liquidity comes out of the S&P 500 and traditional markets in general. It may be also why we're starting to see a lot of these trends. So this is something that is super huge. Along with that, you've got a couple other things hitting highs. And of course, that is gold surging to $3,400. Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, Ethereum crashing up over 3,800. A lot of it has boiled down to two things. One, of course, has been Bitcoin's surge over these past few weeks to where it's come back and somewhat stabilized, but the dominance, of course, has fallen. I'll show you guys some stuff on the charts here in a moment, and we will break doun a couple of things, including XRP, so stick around for that. But one of the things that I think is resident now, more so than it has been in the past few months, and that is the amount of money coming into Ethereum. And that is the one that I think starts to move the market. When we start to see ETH move, remember, this has been one of the key factors that starts to create this domino effect. I want to go to a clip real quick where Tom Lee breaks a little bit of this down. Take a look.
And so most investors are underexposed at the moment. And they're trying to look at headlines with a half-empty view. But as you guys know, earnings have actually been really resilient, and I think it tells a very good story.
Yeah, here we are 120 basically on Bitcoin, which you used to say at 70, and you know that was a 60% move or something that you were forecasting as within the next couple of months, or at least this year. Here we are now, what, 150?
I think the 200 to 250,000 for Bitcoin still makes sense because that would still only value it at 25% of the size of the gold market.
Okay.
So I think digital gold means Bitcoin should be worth over $1 million per Bitcoin, and it could happen in the next few years. But maybe pricing 25% of that, especially with Genius Act, makes sense.
Ether has taken off recently. It was down at 1,700 or something like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Yes.
Now it's back almost, what, 36 or something?
That's right. And I know Mark Newton, our head of technicals, thinks it's 5,000's doable near term, but if you value it similar to Circle, it's more between 10 and 20,000.
All right, so I want you to kind of frame that for a second. What Tom Lee, who is, I would say right now, the #1 super investor, he's been able to call these moves probably more efficiently than anyone in the market around crypto, especially Bitcoin. Right now, he's starting to focus in, obviously, with what he's doing over at BMNR, but also what he's doing with understanding the ETH market and as of a whole. One of the key things that, of course, dropped today was this right here. And this is a big deal, guys. This is Pantera Capital. They're backing a company what they're donning as Ether Machine, which is going to be going public with 1.5 billion in raised potential. Now, this hasn't happened yet. That's 400,000 ETH that they would have to purchase in the market. This would be the largest institutional Ethereum exposure and yield ever. This would make it #1 immediately. All right, one other thing I want to show you in this thread, which is interesting right here, and that, of course, is the value secured on chain. You can kind of see the explosion that is comparison to Solana, Avalanche, Sui, ZK Sync, etc. ETH is in by far the lead position, and part of this is because of what we're seeing right here, and these are legacy shells that have been out there. They come with baggage, so until we see ETFs that can stake, this is going to be the consistent play in the market. So be ready for this, guys. I think we're going to see a lot more strategic moves going in this direction. This may be a scenario to what Tom Lee was referencing of a 10K ETH is well within range. There's, just so you know, they are going to be as ETH-M, not as DYNX, which is their current ticker. That's getting ready to change. So there's one clip that I want to play here that gives you a vision of where this could go. So take a look.
Ethereum is able to embed any type of digital asset, a bar of gold, a barrel of oil, a stock, a bond, a derivative, and then embed those into digital legal agreements. And in doing so, you're able to expedite the velocity of money. Ether produces yield if it's properly managed.
And that's what you call the Ether machine.
Yes. And so the ETFs right now don't generate yield because they don't enable staking. And we're able to enable staking, and we're able to do other additional risk management on top of that.
There has been some commentary, I think from Larry Fink or others, that you might start to see ETFs that actually can do some of the things you're talking about.
So we believe that they will eventually be able to enable staking, but we don't think that they'll be able to stake at full capacity. And then furthermore, they're not going to be able to participate in the active management of the decentralized financial economy. So this is Ethereum staking plus participation in the DeFi economy.
So you're an Ethereum guy. Do you own Bitcoin?
I'm not. I do not own Bitcoin.
None.
I'd rather have an iPhone than a landline.
Ooh, that's like a sick burn, the kids might say.
All right, so a little bit of a burn there, as you guys saw. You know, I think this was the chairman over at now the Ether machine, ETH-M, and he gets into some very key points of the velocity of money. And this is something that I want you guys to wrap your heads around. If you think about Ethereum, the ecosystem, and the potential DeFi opportunities that it represents, he is exactly right, is that companies like ETH-M, along with others that may go in this direction that are much more than, say, just a holding company, this starts to shift a dynamic that could easily compete against the ETH ETFs. But more importantly, this starts to move massive, massive markets into the space. Remember, ETH, #1 position in terms of real world asset allocation. That gets into real estate, that gets into all sorts of asset allocation going in the future. ETH will be the key component there. And I think now Wall Street is starting to wake up to all of this. Some other things that could play into this that really need to, I think, catch your attention is as you look at projects like what Coinbase is talking about, there's a shift right now that is happening between Bitcoin, especially into ETH and SOL. And I think we're going to see more and more spot ETFs starting to rolling in. Timing is very precarious here because I think the situation with the amount of investment coming into these ETH strategic holding companies and companies, along with what's happening in these ETFs, whether it's Solana, XRP, obviously what we'll see on Ethereum continue to grow. These are huge things going forward. Other factors into this, if you look at this right here, corporate shift from speculation to strategic allocation. That's another huge step because it has been a very speculative play over the last few years. That's starting to change. And of course, you got to look at where non-crypto plays are going. Coinbase, of course, their IPO investors are now above water, which is insane that this market has come back that far. Look at the growth on this, guys, from where this has been playing to where it is today. And then you also take a look at Robinhood, absolutely skyrocketing up the charts. All of this happening right now, and Ethereum is still under 4K, has not reached its all-time high as we go forward. The last couple of tweets I want to hit on, of course, XRP surpassing 250 billion in market cap. I think more importantly, we are starting to see some very, very big potential opportunities here for XRP. Obviously, those come in terms of payment rails and cross-border payments, but there's so many other things that are happening. Last in that I want to hit on is Polymarket, and the capacity that it has is now going to be extended to derivatives. This is a huge move, and if this becomes available in the United States, and it looks like it will be, this starts to change the dynamic of the market. Many of the market players, things are going to get very competitive, guys. So be on the lookout for that. One thing as I scan out on the chart here, you'll look back all the way in January. The one thing that this momentum has created, we have not seen this kind of chart outside of Bitcoin. I'll just go over to Bitcoin for an example. That low and then this explosion that's happening right there. But if you compare that to something like Solana, which has not even broken out yet, many people now believe this is easily going to go back up to maybe around the 250 range. 200 is easily within sight right now, where it's trading at 196 as we go here. SWE over $4, also starting to break up. But again, this chart is not seeing the explosiveness that we've seen right here with XRP. So what this means, guys, ETH is beginning to be very interesting as it breaks 3,700 on its way to 3,800. I think 4,000 is within range, maybe within the week. And I think we are looking for some big moves coming in very quickly. So, all right, if you guys are not subscribed to the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in on that as well. That's our own private email list. Right now, guys, this is the time where markets are about to move. So you want to be at the front edge of this. Follow me on X at Paul Barron. I'll catch you next time right here on The Paul Barron Show.